what this university has done is embarrassed India, embarrassed the whole country on an international scale.
This is not just being silly or myopic. This is arrogance.
ठीक है, हमने चाइना के या किसी भी कंट्री के किसी भी तरह के प्रोडक्ट को अपना नहीं बताया. हमने बस ये बताया कि हम हमारे एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस में क्या काम करते हैं.
Let's not put everyone in the same bucket.
आप लोग जर्नलिस्ट हैं, आपको ये सारे शब्द थोड़े रिस्पॉन्सिबली यूज करने चाहिए. एक गलत मिसइंटरप्रिटेशन से इंटरनेट हैज गॉन बाय स्टॉर्म.
To let a single misstep at one stall eclipse the fact that India has just convened 100+ countries.
I am not a faculty of artificial intelligence. I am a faculty of communication in the School of Management. But I am very responsible in my choice of words and what I intend to say, and I still stand by it.
A lot of times the devil lies in the detail, and that's what we really are missing out. Even on our buying process or evaluation process, I don't think so we had enough experts here who would really evaluate it to the depth to see whether it was an actual robot that was built up.
गलगोटिया ने देश का नाम बहुत सारी चीजों में ऊंचा किया है. प्लीज लुक इनटू द हिस्ट्री. प्लीज सी कि हमारे एलुमनाई देश को कहां पर रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं और किस किस तरह से कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं.
Hello and welcome. You're watching me, Sanket Upadhyay, on the Federal. The show is called AI with Sanket. This is the AI of news because news in India today requires not artificial but analytical intelligence. This is our second episode on AI because there is an AI summit happening. But this episode we have to bring to you for all the wrong reasons. Unfortunately, there are some people who are out there to malign an effort as huge and massive as an AI summit. Let's make some things very clear. Many people question the need for an AI summit. That do we need a Big Bang conference? Well, yes, we do. In order to create an ecosystem, in order to create a talking point in the country and across the world, in order to position yourself in front of the global south and in the world, these summits do help. It's a melting pot of ideas, melting pot of people. So let's not question the summit itself. However, the way the summit was managed, initially the mismanagement, and then allegations of fraud being committed in the summit are a different headline altogether. Galgotia University, a private university, was accused of fraudulent act where they bought a Robodog, a Chinese-made Robodog, and claimed that they developed it. When questioned later, they said, "We never claimed that we developed it." The matter spiraled out of control. It became viral, became a huge controversy. A lot of back and forth happened. Eventually, the government has asked Galgotia University to take all their stuff away and move away from this AI summit. It's a PR disaster, what has happened. But should we, in an attempt to award and reward real efforts of AI and innovation in this country, not throw the baby out with the bathwater, to not put into doubt all efforts of AI just because we saw that some acts of fraudulent nature have been committed in this AI summit? Let's put this to a discussion. All right, joining us right now on this discussion is Sanjay Jha. He is a known political analyst, has very strong views on this subject, and it is important. It is the time to exercise and articulate strong views on this matter. We also have Dr. Kanishk Gaur, founder of India Future Foundation. Thank you very much, Dr. Gaur, for joining us. Khushboo Jain, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, is also with us. Sanjay Jha, I want to begin with you first. For a university to openly lie, and in this day and age of AI and information and free-flowing information, to think that your lie will not be caught, to think that you will be able to buy something off the shelf, claim it as something that you have developed, and the world will not know? Do you think this was naive and extremely silly? And in effect, what this university has done is embarrassed India, embarrassed the whole country on an international scale.
Sanket, let me tell you that although the social media has made a lot of memes and it's trending as some kind of a embarrassing soap opera, the truth is it is a serious matter. As you rightly asked me in your question, this is not just being silly or myopic. This is arrogance. This is arrogance of a inexplicable kind. You know what surprises me is you're talking about an event on AI, a global summit, and AI is anyway reading much more far ahead of our times. It's going to possibly give us advanced coding that even the coders are not ready for. And in that day and age, to show a robot and to pretend that it's been created by you in times when Chinese surveillance is all over the world, what did you expect? And what is stunning is how did the government of Mr. Modi, without doing any due diligence, without kind of recognizing that everything is going to be up for scrutiny if it's not an indigenously innovated product or a service or a software, will not get tested. The result is that I think all India has extraordinary talent. I think we export some of the best to the world. I mean, Silicon Valley has been mostly created by Indian minds. But look at this monumental mammoth red face that we have. This is what is very often called by Gen Z as a face palm moment for us. And it's very awkward. And I actually hold the Narendra Modi government responsible. This is a government that is so desperate for publicity. I'll be honest on your program. Why is the Indian Prime Minister who went to America and talked about AI is, according to him, AI was American Indian partnership. Now, if you're going to make AI into some kind of an acronym for political leverage and some silly rhetoric, then walk like a big boss during the AI summit and throw the entire arrangements into chaos. It tells you that everything that we are doing currently under this government is not about an industry, is not about a technological breakthrough, has no concern for the demographic dividend. It's all about showboating one individual. And that's the reason. Because, I can go on, and, people will be politically correct. But let me tell you the bottom line. We have become so obsessed with promoting a cult personality that everything is dwarfed to how to make one person look like the man behind AI and the man behind Viksit Bharat. And I mean, the minister, I think Ashwini Vaishnav tweeted it. Did he even know what he was tweeting? I've seen many government tweets which have picked up Chinese photographs and claimed as their own. So, bottom line, I'm not surprised. I'm feeling sorry for India's engineers, software geniuses, startups, and many other wonderful people who will do a great job in AI, but who today must be feeling very embarrassed and extremely small.
That's right. Dr. Gaur, you see, the thing is, I'm not one of those people who would throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? While I agree 100% with what Mr. Sanjay Jha has said, I also do feel that this is a land of innovation. There are a lot of tech advancements on display at this very summit or outside. And opportunities like a summit, they give you a platform to exhibit what you're doing and create an ecosystem. So that way, this summit is not all that bad. What the motive behind it is, how it is being executed, this is something which Sanjay Jha has addressed. What I'm trying to say is that the many people who are questioning the need of the summit itself, I say the summit is important, it is required, and it will create some sort of an environment in the country. Having said that, do you feel that what Galgotias tried to do is become clever by half in order to position yourself as this innovator way more than what you have actually done? And that does a lot of harm than good to many actual innovators.
Sanket, absolutely. I am here at the India AI Summit. I have hosted international delegates from Australia, from Singapore, from US. And I can tell you there are a large number of startups who are actually building robots here. who have come from the hinterland of this country. I've met startups from Bihar. I've met startups from Jharkhand who are building actual robots who need funding, who can build the tech. So let's not put everyone in the same bucket. There will be those innovators and there would be those uh, copycat models who would always try and create something by copying from other places and claiming them to be their own. And that's where the need is for larger ethics to be taught in educational institutions, that plagiarism, copying other people's job can land you into trouble. Now, it can only be done if you have got stricter fines and penalties. I can tell you that until and unless you don't have stricter fines and penalties on AI, the copy paste model is going to be a big issue. There's a concept called as vibe coding, which today the Gen Zs are following. And what they claim is they can't write the code, but they can copy the code from multiple places and create something to be on their own. Now, this is something where we are heading towards. Now, who's going to do the course correction? Much of the learning is coming from Instagram reels and not from real content. That's why you see such instances where people will buy a Chinese robot, claim it to be theirs, put a copy paste, and then create a bigger embarrassment for whole of the country. But the entire ecosystem is not like that. There is innovation, but we need to be taught ethics. We need to be taught how we need to be ethical, and you need stronger laws to ensure there is penalization of such people.
Right. I mean, of course, there has to be. So you have to separate what a Galgotia has done with the, say, for instance, this gentleman who actually wanted to display Khushboo Jain, a product which then got stolen. So that is one example. The other example is the hundreds of stalls out there and the thousands of people who are outside the national capital region who are working on artificial intelligence. I want to know your view. First of all, on this Galgotia University episode, Khushboo Jain, and then the larger point. Okay, it seems that we can't connect with the Khushboo Jain. We'll ask her to log herself out and then come back in. But Sanjay Jha, I want to come back to you and ask you this question. How much of blame pinning would you do or attach to the government, and how much do you think this is the misadventurism of a university? Because I read a very funny tweet of yours where you say Golgappa University, Golgappa government. Now, jokes apart, Sanjay Jha, Dr. Gaur is also laughing. Jokes apart, how much of this is the misadventure of a university where, how can you blame a government if somebody is deciding to commit a fraud?
Well, Sanket, a valid question, but let me tell you why I actually tweeted Golgappa government. Because you see the messaging or the entire philosophy or the ecosystem is really driven by what people see happening from the top. And I want to give you certain hard data that will tell you that when we do these AI global summits and we call all the global tech giants, people are aware that, are you really a serious player? Are we really in the game? And I can tell you for a fact, in AI, we haven't even scraped the bottom of the barrel yet. I mean, there is so much to be done. For example, if you look at India's R&D expenditure, I kind of know that number. We are at 0.65% of our GDP is spent on R&D. Countries like China are doing anywhere between 3 to 4%. America would be at around 4%. Israel is spending maybe even closer to 5%. We are not there. On higher education, our expenditure is around 0.41% of the GDP. Clearly, the data tells you that the government is not committed to serious innovation. Now, what is happening is that if you go and look at the government, you'll see that in university education has got extremely and increasingly politicized. Let me give you an example. The government chooses these institutes of excellence on what grounds? And they get some kind of a very prestigious government tag. Galgotias was given a big award, I saw on social media, by Mr. Modi himself in 2014 as the best private university in the country. Now, what is happening is these guys know that they don't deserve it. Many of them get it because the owners, everyone wants to be on the right side of a government. And this is what happens. And take an example, JNU. I'm going to make this into a real tangible conversation. We can't be flirting at the periphery, just being polite. JNU, one of the most, probably the best brand in education that we have, which is internationally looked at along with our IITs and IIMs, you'll find JNU is targeted repeatedly because the government finds it more left leaning, or Jamia or AMU because they have a minority character. This is not the way you run education in a country. I'm telling you upfront, none of the members of parliament will send their kids to Galgotias if they can help it. They will not. But Mr. Modi will call it the best private university in the country. 99% of the times you have Mr. Amit Shah saying English is bad. Did you hear that? English will one day be a curse and an embarrassment for India. And then we are holding an AI summit. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I think the problem with this government, it is so obsessed with photo ops, political speak, how to appeal to their core constituency. They fail to realize that India's story has been built on soft power, on films, on the Shah Rukh Khans of the world, and software, which is really what we did in IT. But by sounding anti-English, by sounding, kind of repeatedly being critical of intellectuals, by being anti-intellectual, by being actually very parochial and taking us back into history, blaming Macaulay, you can do all that. But for them, everything has become such a loaded political statement that this, what has happened with Galgotias, is a consequence of the larger macro level messaging that this government is giving to the young of India.
So I wanted to know from you, first of all, your initial reaction on this fiasco, this faux pas. This, as some people in the community notes of social media handle X are calling fraud. How do you look at what Galgotia University has done? And then they thought that they were being brave. I think that they were unnecessarily brazening it out by saying that, we were misrepresented and media has to be more responsible and careful. It's so easy to shoot the messenger, when you get caught. Khushboo.
Okay, so my personal view, it's actually at a nascent stage to make any comment as to who was right and wrong. I'm not getting into the depth of it, but just on the periphery, which we look into it, I would consider this issue as a lapse in the judgment, or it can be willful or willingly or unwillingly, but it's a lapse in the judgment at the level of one exhibitor, for which the summit, by contrast, is about India's long-term AI roadmap. That is your governance, safety, talent, and global cooperation. So it would be very unfair for us, and frankly very short-sighted for us, to let a single misstep at one stall eclipse the fact that India has just convened 100+ countries talk about watermarking, deepfake, democratizing compute, using of AI for farmers, for patients, for students, and the entire technology advancement into it. So I would say, rather, let's have an or at the same time, you would see that this is why we need trust and authenticity in the age of technology. That's where we need a safe and a trusted AI, and that was the agenda of this summit. So let us bring in and talk about that agenda, rather than one incident, whether willingly or unwillingly. That misstep by one exhibitor cannot undermine the entire agenda which the country is having for the global world.
I agree with you. This is exactly the question I asked of Dr. Gaur also. Dr. Gaur, let me come to you now. You see, treating Galgotia as an exception and not the norm may perhaps be a wise thing to do right now. But my point is, and the point that Sanjay Jha was making just a short while ago, is the environment such that it is promoting more of these exceptions than what must be a norm of people rightfully excelling in an AI atmosphere or looking for AI driven solutions?
Well, Sanket, I think there is tremendous opportunity in this country. Only thing that we lack is dry powder, the funding. Who is ready to invest on building the next AI? There are very few venture capitalist firms which are there in this space. Innovation is that India is the youngest population in the world right now, and there are tremendous people who have left their jobs and are trying to build something forward with AI. So I believe that you have to work for greater growth and greater change. which is the need of the hour at this point of time. And you will see there will be tremendous startups from India which will come out and create actual robots and create actual LLMs and SLMs. At this very juncture, if you go and visit the Impact Arena at the AI Summit, you will see tremendous amount of startup. You will see tremendous amount of talent. All you need is larger government support, public-private partnerships, and the dry powder to make this work. Unfortunately, this is one of incidents where people have to take a precedence of not looking the other way, because Indians have this habit of being frugal, being using jugaad. We have to really move away from that model. AI can't be built through jugaad. What someone else has built in, you can't claim it to be yours. And a lot of times we put ourselves in a global embarrassment situations and shoot ourselves in the foot by doing some of this job. So it's only through larger punitive measures you would see the change really coming in. People follow traffic rules if there are larger fines. I can tell you in this country. Otherwise, we go lawless. Similarly, AI, someone who's copy pasting, someone who's using plagiarism, someone who's just putting the code from Chat GPT or using research as a mechanism, and then creating content from AI, that will only change once you have stronger regulations and better monitoring systems in place.
Sanjay Jha, what Dr. Gaur said and what one saw also, that there were a couple of examples at this summit as well, where people wanted to be seen as doing something around AI, and thus they exhibited their product. Many of them used already existing AI models and built their models on top of that and called it innovation. That may be peripheral innovation, but that is not the real stuff that one is really hoping for with a summit like this. At a time like this, the point that Dr. Gaur just made, I think that is very crucial. What role do institutions have, whether government, private, big companies, big tech companies, in pushing that big bang buck behind AI? And unless you do that, real change will never happen. You can keep hosting many summits, but the real follow up will happen when there is investment, when there is intention, when there is understanding, which is being spoken about, by the way. It's all over the papers today.
Yeah, yeah. Sanket, let me tell you, the job of any government, whether it's India, the US, China, Israel, is to create a digital infrastructure where the government has a big role to play, is to actually create an environment for innovation and R&D, and fund as much as the government can. Please remember that whether you talk of internet or AI, many people don't know, but there's the US government's investments at the very early stages that led to the rise of many of these big private tech giants that have flourished. They have actually, all the big giants have flourished on government subsidies. If you look at the history of even the internet and technology, here is the truth, right? The truth is that today, if you look at the big AI players, including DeepSeek from China, they have all emerged in an environment that encourages creativity, that actually has great deal of talent flowing in. Now, look at the problem that we have. I have given you some data in terms of spend on higher education, etc. Look at one data; it will worry you, because the assumption behind AI is what? A certain strong or a fundamental level of education. Education as a percentage of government expenditure was 4.77% in 2014. Okay, 2013-14 is down now to 2.50%. Can you imagine that? It's a fall. Per capita spending on students is down by 50% in 10 years. We are not creating the environment from the school to higher education level. You have 93,000 schools that closed over the last decade. This is all hard data which is available for public consumption. So I think the bottom line here is, and I agree with Dr. Gaur and the larger point that he made, there is talent in India, but ask yourself, why are the best people in India, including wealthy millionaires with good businesses or with intellectual capital, why are they moving out of this country? The 2 million people who have left over the last 8-10 years are not just people who have a lot of money looking at a second citizenship. They're leaving India because of multiple reasons. Go back, Sanket, to what Geeta Gopinath said during the Davos summit. She said, listen, don't come to me about tariffs. Have you fixed your AQI? We our problem is that as a country, we have become episodic under Mr. Modi. So when there's pollution, everybody talks of pollution. Now the winter is over. AQI is not a problem for anybody at all, right? Now this drama has happened with Galgotias. Suddenly we'll wake up to education, innovation, and nation's reputation. This event will get over and suddenly we'll be done with it. That's the problem we have. And therefore, my bottom line is always going to be it's the politicians who have to create an environment where the young are encouraged. Dr. Gaur is right, you need capital. But Dr. Gaur, let me tell you, I don't know whether you've seen the data under this government, you never know the truth, that in a skills program, there are 10,000 crores which have been deemed to be corruption under by the reports of CAG, and nobody is talking about it. Can you imagine if those 10,000 crores were up there? Their government could have had their own Shark Tank and given them to the startups. Can you imagine the kind of environment you'll create? So I'm going to just lay the blame. I'm part of politics. The Congress made its mistakes, but I think the BJP has taken the blunders to a monumental level. It deserves an Oscar.
Yeah, the reason why I'm not bringing in Congress and BJP, Mr. Sanjay Jha, because then it becomes a huge problem. Because then there will be this high and elevated level of tutu meme, which will frankly take us away from the core issue. But just quickly coming back to Galgotias for a moment and the accountability of the government. Khushboo Jain said that this is one lapse of judgment, too early to say. Khushboo Jain has added all the riders, rightfully so, and then she has said the event is bigger. I agree, Khushboo. But here is the accountability of the government. It's a government event. What is the vetting process, you tell me? Can anyone who has big bang bucks, who can set up a huge stall, can just come in with whatever tech or AI solution? Can you just walk in like that? This dog, Orion, and by the way, we all love dogs. Sanjay ji loves his dog, I love my dog. But we like our dogs the way dogs are. I would never trade my dog for an AI dog. Anyway, the point is, the university pitched this Chinese dog as its big offering, right from their newspaper ad to displaying him at the stall. And all of this happened in a government event, in an international event. Where was the vetting?
Vetting part, I am with you, but let's go step by step on this. Because when you're talking about a legal matter, number one, the facts need to be established. Number two, it's a legal issue and it has to be dealt with legal channels, thorough legal channels. That means whether a contract breach is there has to be a contract. If you're entering into a space and getting a stall in any summit for that matter. Also, the aspect of underlining things which would have been as a mandate by the government or prerequisite by the government to be introducing something. So misrepresentation, violation of the contract. Then comes the aspect of copyright or a trademark violation. Even at the level of, let's say, cheating or a fraud, can be an aspect of it. But how mature this is we are at the very pre-nascent stage. This need to be established. Now, there has to be, for the establishment, there has to be a due process of specific misconduct. And this cannot be, I'm sorry, I'm repeating that again, this cannot be done by tainting an entire national effort. I'm sorry, I will beg to differ with everybody on that part.
Because nobody is against you. So you are not differing, and you don't need to beg. We all agree that we need to make an advancement. We all agree that summits done with the right intention will take us there, will build an ecosystem. But if the motive is public relations, and if the process is to come up with not big bang AI solutions, but big bang headlines of AI solutions, that is where the problem begins. Dr. Gaur, if you can hear me.
If you can give me 1 second.
Yeah.
If here, I would suggest let there be a proper legal process done rather than, I agree with Sanjay Ji, that let's not forget it after the event is over, we forget and things are under the wrap. Let this be an incident. If something has been done, let there be a proper due process, let there be a punishment, let this be a kind of an advertisement for the whole world or a lesson for the world, or also for the India Incs that do not get into an aspect of misrepresentation or falling in the trap. Just
yeah, don't do it. Don't do it, because you're not doing India some great favor. You may have the biggest stall there, but you're not doing India or AI a great favor, Dr. Gaur. And do you feel that this is, you are there at the event at Bharat Mandapam? You tell me, should this question not be asked of the organizers, which is, i.e., the government? What is the vetting process, bhai? How did you let these people come up with their innovation? Who cleared these innovations? Or can anyone tomorrow, if I were to say that I am a robot and I want to sell myself, I am AI, will I be allowed?
See, I have also put on a recommendation where I led something at the AI summit. I can tell you that was a strict vetting. We had to wait for 3 months for the process to be completed, and we had numerous round of interactions. So it's not that the entire process has been completely broken or blind. And there are enough startups who are exhibiting here who've got tremendous innovation in their own space, healthcare, workforce efficiency. You've got some of the global brands there. We've got Deloitte, Microsoft, EY, KPMG. You've got niche startups from IITs, even from the hinterland. It's only someone made a error of judgment. That's why they've been able to get through. And a lot of times, people who claim to be uh, great, they create these Capicot models that you are not able to identify them, that who they are, where they are sitting, and just get through it. Because if you take out the labels, if you don't get into the depth of it, now this is a hardware device, right? This is an actual robot. Until unless you don't have a mechanism to bring this to a lab and test it, if someone's created it, or doing more due diligences around intellectual property, patents, then there will always be methods through which you can get away. I don't think so. On a hardware side of it, we have really thought, and that's the biggest issue. If I talk about AI, our limitation, at least in India, is still at the software level. So, moment someone brings in a hardware level AI, we are like, wow. So we don't do our due diligence and we take things for granted, saying someone is building a robot and it's been done in AI. We are so obsessed with China that we want to showcase that yes, we have the capability, even if we don't. And that's primarily the gap. There are tremendous software companies who will work on layer one, layer two, layer three on key elements. But when it comes to building hardware, I'm sorry, we are not there. So let's not embarrass ourselves through these incidents and claim someone else's work to be ours. And a lot of times, the devil lies in the detail. And that's what we really are missing out. Even on our buying process or evaluation process, I don't think so. We had enough experts here who would really evaluate it to the depth to see whether it was an actual robot that was built up
Wow,
or
what a lovely
it
point.
was.
What a lovely point. I'm going to build up on this. And my final question to Mr. Sanjay Jha. Mr. Sanjay Jha, do you feel that we need the real AI ecosystem will be not to develop pressure that we all must start talking about AI? By the way, the name of this show on which you are appearing is also AI. It's called analytical intelligence because news does not require artificial but analytical intelligence. Mr. Sanjay Jha, do you feel that the first ecosystem we need to build is a team of very, very strong red teamers for AI innovation? You see, it is not like putting a cart before the horse. This is where some deep cynics will sit and evaluate whether a solution or an AI solution that is being provided is actually cutting edge or is it a poor rip-off or a knockoff of some other effort done somewhere else. Your audio, Mr. Sanjay Jha. If you could
Sanket,
unmute
you asked
yourself.
me the question. Let me bite the bullet on this one. India became during the Y2K the big topping, the conversation all over the world. It topped it. Everyone talked about India becoming the Silicon Valley of the East, the IT backbone infrastructure for the world. And we have been a great story, even where global capability centers, etc., are concerned. The thing is that we have not created great products per se. India doesn't have a brand like an Amazon, or it doesn't have any of these big apps that have become like a global success story. So what is important, Sanket, is that we are getting too carried away by these hype and hoopla over trying to be the global benchmark without focusing on where your strength lies. If your strength lies in becoming one part of the supply chain, then don't try and become the last mile brand. Play to your strength. You got to play to your core. And I believe if you look at India's demographic dividend story, I would focus in India in making sure that we got universities in the top 500 in the world. Currently, the most embarrassing fact of India that we can't run away from is that we don't have a single university in the top 500 in the world. And look at the wonderful students who work under such pressure with no funding, coming from very ordinary backgrounds. They make it to the IAS, to the IITs, and the IIMs. I think education in India has become very elitist. And that is not the way you're going to really create the giant stories. The genius lies in those people that you see in IPL you never heard of. Give them a chance, create a level playing field, give the technological and educational infrastructure that the ordinary Indian needs. And I can tell you, you'll have enough AI to talk about. The problem with politicians is they're looking for a headline, they're looking for a photo op. And once that is over, they move on to the next big event. And I think people on the panel, I can see they're very reasonable, bright people like Dr. Gaur and the lady from the Supreme Court. I'm missing your name, ma'am. Sorry about that. The truth is, there is an opportunity.
Advocate Khushboo Jain.
Yeah, Khushboo Jain. So, like Khushboo Jain, etc. I believe India needs to unleash its power, but you're not going to do that as long as the government doesn't focus on education, AI, software. In fact, even creating branded consumer products, we can do all of it. But are we willing to do it? And is the government willing to back you?
Absolutely. And please give my love to your dog. I hope the other two are also dog people. If they are not, just be kind to the real dogs. Robodog doesn't have feelings. The real one does. Thank you so much for joining us on this discussion. Thank you so much.